All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited that you are spending this Friday morning here with us, or whether you are catching it on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of this content that we are talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. So if you guys have been following, you know that we have been in a month-long series of autism acceptance, awareness, education. And so with that, I am so excited to bring to you one of not only my friends, but fellow special needs mom, Beverly Rowden. She is an LMSW as well as the founder of Connected. And she is coming to us here from Dallas, Texas this morning. So I'm so excited to have you here, Beverly.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me on. Great.
Now, Beverly, I know that you can do it much better justice than I can, just kind of giving the audience a little bit more information about your personal, background with education, schooling, all of that, and what position you're in right now, as well as some of your journey as a mom having, kids and one that is on the spectrum having autism.
Sure. Thank you again for having me on. Well, I am Beverly, and currently I am the Regional Education Specialist for Child Protective Services, and I work to help meet the educational needs of kids in foster care. I attend art staffings with them and help to advocate for their educational rights and needs. But my autism journey, Tammy, started in 1995 when my son, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. He is now 27. Yes, he's now 27 years old. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. Before that, we would bring him to the pediatrician to find out what in the world is going on. He wasn't meeting any of his developmental milestones. Even when he started crawling, he would crawl backwards.
Well, and I am thinking, Beverly, at that time, 27 years ago, as me and you have openly kind of chatted about the amount of research, knowledge, online stuff
just wasn't there. Exactly. It just wasn't there. Now we have a flood of research, which is great, different types of therapies and helps and supports. But back in the early 90s, when he was diagnosed, it was kind of touch and go and kind of trial and error in their way through. Even his pediatrician really didn't have all the answers. So it was pretty much for us, wait and see. Let's just wait and see. Boys progress slower than girls. Let's just watch. So we watched and we watched and we watched. So I knew, we need to get him assessed. Something is not right. So looking back now, we know that he had all of the indicators of autism,
right.
The common characteristics we see, Tammy. So we got him assessed. First before we got him assessed, in the Dallas area, we have a Center for Communications Disorder called the Collier Center. So he went there for a semester, about 5 months. He went there and he worked with a student intern who helped improve his language skills because he had really minimal, almost none, vocabulary.
Okay.
His vocabulary was almost non-existent. So after he left that place, he was 4 because they only go up to age 4. His vocabulary had improved. But now we got to get him into the public schools.
Right.
So to have a full assessment.
Right.
So he was assessed in the Dallas ISD with a team of professionals. It was all day long. We had the school psychologist, the speech therapist, occupational therapist, behavior therapist, and they worked with him the entire day. And his dad and my then husband, we were there watching him from above, just watching him, work with them and doing all types of manipulatives. So at the end of the day, they brought us in. to tell us, share their findings.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget, the school psychologist said, well, it's been a long day, and little Dean is a poster kid for autism. And part of me was grieved.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of me was relieved.
Right, that you had something.
Yes, I had a name for it. I had a term for it. So, and that's when another professional at the meeting said, it's a lifelong disability,
Mm-hmm.
but with the proper supports and interventions, he can go on to live a full life as best as possible, with the greatest extent possible. So they gave us a list of resources and a lot of pamphlets and papers, and I was just overwhelmed when she said lifelong disability, because I was still waiting on that, I guess, that magic pill. I was still waiting on like a prescription. Give me something, and in a few months, he'll be out of it, he'll
Right.
be okay. But she said it's a lifelong disability, and with proper support, he can go on and live a meaningful life to the greatest extent possible. So I didn't have time to really grieve, if you will, because I had to really jump into mommy mode.
Right.
So, I had to educate myself about autism, what it is, what it's not. And I wanted to get my hands on everything I could to read about autism, to find out as much as I could, even how it was coined, how did autism come to be? And I found out, Leo Connor in 1943, he first termed autism. So I wanted to know as much as I could how to best educate myself and help my child, because I had to really think quickly. I didn't have time to really, waste on pity parties and all of that. And so right now, fast forward several years, I'm still educating myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because you never stop advocating, you never stop learning.
When would you say there was more of a breakthrough in really that acceptance, awareness, and more education out there? What year would you say that was for autism?
I would say it was in the 2000s, like the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s for me, because I think it started increasing. More and more kids were found to be on the spectrum. Right now, there's, I think, 1 in 59
Mm-hmm.
on the spectrum. So it has increased over the years. So as more and more kids were assessed and found to be on the autism spectrum, I think more awareness came about as a result of that. And also we had more celebrity kids diagnosed with autism, who brought even increased a greater awareness to it.
Greater awareness, and then also funding dollars, because
Yes,
I think that sometimes people that are not in this circle don't realize, and that's when I speak about obviously every topic, but like when we talk about rare disease, you know what I'm saying? The more quantity of people who have things, the more research you're going to get. So in autism, in what year was that? 1940 something,
I think 43.
Yeah, 1943, there probably wasn't much known. So when there's lower numbers of people, the amount of research and dollars don't always go there. But as that increases, and like you said, celebrities come out with it, the more funding dollars to give us more resources, and information.
Especially as kids get older, because they're not always going to be 5 and 7 and 10. They're going to age out of high school, and then what? And so we really need more community dollars, more community resources. According to the community. So he entered the PPCD program, and that's the preschool program for children with disabilities. That's a mouthful. And so we got him in he went to one school district briefly, but I soon learned that the educators were not equipped. They were just not ready to handle his unique behaviors. So one of the parents whose son also attended the Collier Center told me about the school district that he actually attended. So we moved just to get into that school district. And he started there. He had a teacher who was real skilled and knowledgeable about autism. So he was with her for about 2 or 3 years. He went through the whole school system in the Duncanville ISD. And it was up and down. I had to quickly learn about R's, IEPs, and familiarize myself with the language, the lingo. So it was still overwhelming, but I had the support now. I felt like I had more support from the schools and just understanding more about what it is, what autism is. We even had an in-home family trainer from the district. She would come once a week into the home, yes, and to teach us how to work with him. So that was welcoming.
Yes. And I think two things that really stick out to me, it being in this space myself in just the world of different abilities, that is so powerful, is remembering as parents that knowledge is power. And so though we have to go through that mourning process and that
Exactly.
we
Yes.
need to become an encyclopedia. We need to gather as much, because that's how we have our fuel to advocate.
That's right. If
you
you
know?
don't, not knowledgeable about it, I mean, you're not going to learn everything right away. You know,
Right.
you're not going to be experts, you know, we're not the professionals, but we have to familiarize ourselves with terminology, the language. You know, I would go to art meetings and leaving there like, I have no clue what just happened.
Right.
You know, what just happened? What did I just sign to? You know, I'm agreeing to all of this, and reading all the art documentations and all that. So I quickly had to learn, what does this mean? How are you going to break it up? And all the terminology that they were using way over my head at the time.
And I think that making sure that parents know no question is ever a dumb question. And so I stop doctors, I stop other moms, I stop other dads. Hey,
Yeah.
what did those initials mean? What did that lingo they were talking about mean? That's the only way that you learn. And so you should never feel funny about that.
Exactly. You know, what's an FBA again? And what's the purpose of that? You know, what does all this mean? So you never want to leave an art staffing still puzzled about what just happened. You want a clear understanding of what they're going to be doing with your child, what type of supports and services he or she's going to be receiving. Mm-hmm. So he participated in sports, you know, the Special Olympics. He really enjoyed that. For the most part, we had a really good school year. I mean, there were some episodes of bullying. We had to address that, the episodes of bullying. Dean got a little relaxed where he just didn't want to do schoolwork. We had to try to find some strategies to help him get through that. Mm-hmm. And then in high school, he went his final year in high school. I'm trying to fast forward this. There's just so much that happened.
I know. When you're into the decades, that's what I always say.
But, you know, he graduated in 2011 with a full diploma. He didn't have a certificate. They were talking about a certificate. I said, no, I want his IEP to lead down the road where he will receive a high school diploma. And that's where we did. The goals and objectives led to that. So he graduated with his class in 2011. I was probably the loudest parent in there screaming and cheering him on, you know. But, you know, after the high school, now what? And I can share with parents that I wasn't really prepared to transition him to life after high school. And that was one of my hangups. That's something that I had to learn, that I should, looking back now, I should have really prepared him better to transition after high school. He worked with, at the hospital, one of the local hospitals here. He did that for a little while, job training skills. That didn't work out. So now we're still doing the employment dance, if you will. Some things work out, some things don't. We have to find that right fit just for him. Mm-hmm. So I had to think outside of the box. Mm-hmm. And we created for him, get this, we created for him a position at the house called house manager.
I like it.
He's the house manager, and believe me, he manages the house. He will let me know when we're out of this, when we need that. So right now, what I'm trying to now transition him to a more formalized type of you know, we even went to some of the community colleges. He wanted to go to college, so we went there. He got his student ID. We get in the car. I don't want to go there. I don't like that place. I'm like, the dean, no. So now we're going to another 4-year college. I called them beforehand, and they just really didn't have a good program for him. So it's been kind of up and down to find just the right fit for him, because I want him to be as independently as possible, and to live a life, you know, to his greatest possibilities.
And I think as parents are listening, obviously, Dean is almost to go on 3 decades. You know, this has been a journey for you for almost 3 decades. Yeah. You know, for myself, over 2 decades. And I think that when we're in our infancy of any type of different abilities, it's all encompassing, and there's so much information, and we lose sight of the fact that we have all of these services that are entitlement services that we sometimes take for granted.
That's
We
right.
don't realize, because we're so broken up ourselves, we don't realize that all of those services are entitlement services. It is against the law for them not to be, required within the schools, to set perimeters, and for them to be taking care of.
Right. That's
Over
exactly. And I also, I tell parents about the IDEA, the Individual Disability Education Act. You have rights. Look at your procedural safeguards. You have rights. You have to be the squeaky wheel, because you have to be the champion and the advocate for your kid.
Right.
So don't be afraid that you're stepping on toes or anything like that, because a few times I had to really challenge some things in the school district. And I'm glad I did.
And then as we come to now, though, over the age of 21, you're
Yes.
all in what is eligibility services, which
Exactly.
means that if you can't check the box, that's where the words "what's next" come from.
Right.
Like, what's next? Like, we're all very confident advocates. We've learned so much.
Right. Now what? And now, after high school, I found myself working with more of the community agencies, HMR, your local MHMR centers, trying to get him connected, no pun intended, and plugged into the supports and services they had for him. He now has a case manager. She comes out once a month from the MHMR center, and she checks on him because he receives services for respite care, community support, and that's really all he needs right now. But they have a whole array of services for kids. So I would tell parents to make sure you are plugged in to your local community centers, MHMRs, because they do have an array of services for our kids. Also, DARS, the vocation rehab agencies, to help them with employment. He had a employment coach, and she would come and help him fill out applications and what have you, trying to help him with jobs.
And so that is, if some don't know, in every single state, it's called something different. Here in the state of Wisconsin, it's called the DVR. It's the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. So that's the same agency if you would have pulled a muscle in your back and no longer could lift things and assist, and they would help you in employment, is the same agency that our young adults go to get job coaching, helping job placement. And what is it called in Dallas, Texas?
In Dallas, it's called DARS, but they've changed the name now to the Texas Workforce Commission. It was called DARS, and it stands for Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services.
Right. And so I think that everyone kind of needs to Google their own, but kind of putting in the description of what it is, or possibly going to any of your other agencies, like your Department of Aging and Resource Center, would know where that department would be.
Yes, here is Department of Aging and Disability Services.
Yeah.
And then you have what's called those Medicaid waiver lists, those interest lists we talk about. Those long, sometimes they can be long, 10 to 15 years, before your child's name comes up on that list. But they are lifelong Medicaid waiver programs that offer job training, respite care supports, home modifications, group home placements. So you definitely want to get your child hooked up and linked to those community resources agencies.
Right. And Beverly, something that you talked about before that kind of lends to what you just said is about that, you had to move schools and things like that. Know within this space that even for jobs, in every single state, it's very, very different, the amount of funding that's given, the amount of wait lists. I know Texas has a lot of its own things going on, different area.
We're always advocating. I'm a huge opponent of advocacy. I believe you have to advocate, contact your legislatures, contact your state senators. We need as much funding as we can to support kids, not only during school, but after school.
Right.
After school, the community resources, we need more and more funding poured into the communities for job placement skills, even for transportation, things we don't often think about. So you have to be that squeaky wheel still, because you never stop advocating for your child.
Right.
Out of school, you really have to kind of beef it up, if you will. So I'm still advocating for Dean and so many others. But it's been a journey. The journey continues. But you know what, Tammy? It's been fun. Looking back now, I wouldn't take anything for this journey. It has taught me so much. It has taught me so much. And Dean is so much more independent now
Mm-hmm.
than ever before. So I would just tell parents, just relax. It's gonna be okay. I know it can be so overwhelming, but just relax. It is gonna be okay. And you cannot walk this journey alone. You should not walk this journey alone. You need to get plugged in with other parents and get connected, because you're gonna need some help on this journey. We're all here for each other.
And that's where in Dallas, you started a parent support group in your area. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. So in August of 2016, I started a parent support group called Connected with an exclamation point. I had been thinking about it for years, just procrastinating, never got started. I'm like, you know what? Either I start it now or I'm never going to start it.
Mm-hmm.
So get this, I was actually going to start in my living room. I didn't have a space, so I was going to start in my living room, right? And get the word out through word of mouth. So what led me to really start Connected, I would frequently run into parents who had questions about services and community resources, or I would have friends call me and ask me, hey, Beverly, I have a friend and she has a child on the spectrum. Can she call you and speak with you about such and such? So that's how I really got started. I wanted parents to know about the community resources and just come together and support each other. We started meeting, well, first of all, let me back up here a little bit. I was going to start in my living room. So I went and I told my prayer group about it. And they said, well, let's just pray for free space. And so we prayed for free space. Before I could get home good, Tammy, one of the other ladies had called me and she said, check the library, contact the library. I hadn't thought about that. So I called the library director and he was on board with it. I think it's a wonderful idea. Let's get started. And so we did. So we started meeting once a month at the library, one time a month. And in between those times, we would every once in a while have outings, parent, activities to do. But we would have different speakers come in and talk about disability related topics. But the attendance started dropping for various reasons. So I went to Facebook and used Facebook as my base so we could touch a larger audience. And it's working out so well, let me tell you. I post webinars, Facebook Live videos.
Yes.
Are sharing information, it's wonderful. Supporting each other, helping each other. Parents are posting about what to do about this and where to go from here, for this type of service. So it's really working out. So that's how Connected got started in 2016. Yeah, just on a whim here, I'm like, you know what, I've got to go ahead and go ahead.
Right. And there is no better information that you will ever get than from another parent that has traveled the journey.
Yes.
You will never get it. And the other thing is when you're thinking about moving, because depending on the different abilities that, your young adult or your aging loved one has, you may find different states that do it better. You just know that. But before you make the move, you might want to find a network of moms or dads.
Exactly right. You have to kind of get out of your zone and get out and find. And that's when you find the information out. That's when I found out, little things like where to take him for a haircut, who's the best barber, things like that, the best dentist, the best doctor, and just start networking with other parents to find out what's in the know and where to go. So it's really out well. And I would say my short-term goal for Connected is to finally launch the nonprofit. I've been procrastinating, but I got to get that going. So to launch the nonprofit, and my long-term goal, Tammy, is to have a Connected in all of the Metroplex. And just from city to city, state to state, have a Connected parent support group all around so we can continue supporting each other.
That's a phenomenal long-term goal. I love it.
I love it. So right now we're using the library more for events.
Okay.
We even had our first responders to come out to one of our autism awareness programs, and they came out. We had the police officers come out, and they spoke with parents about our concerns, and we asked them questions. How knowledgeable are you about autism? And it was really great. They even invited parents to come inside the police station to bring their kids, so they can meet them on a more friendly basis, And so things like that. I want the community to be involved. because our kids have a right to be included in the community.
Right.
So we're a lot of community connecting as well.
I love it. I love it. Now,
Yeah.
I know we touched a lot on some of your different, thoughts of staying connected, knowing you might have to be flexible. You may have to move
Yeah.
schools. You may have to even move states at some point in time,
Yeah.
cities, that sort of thing, about the knowledge, making sure that you're gathering that education. Is there anything else on your list of really tools, strategies, and things you think are so important that you would like to add?
Well, before I start with the strategies, I just want to say that we had to really make some adjustments in our own family.
Right.
My then husband, he had to go on night shift
Mm-hmm.
because the care kept calling, they couldn't handle Dean's behavior. So he had to go on the night shift in order to be home during the day to be there for him. And when the schools call, so we had to make some changes and adjustments in our own family just to make it work. But over the years, from the time he was diagnosed up until now, I've learned what to do, what not to do, what I should have done and didn't do. And so I just want to share just a few strategies for parents to have. And the first one we've already talked about is to educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to educate yourself and I know you're overwhelmed, there's a lot going on, but you really have to find out about autism and how to best parent your child
Right.
with this diagnosis. Also, you want to stay in close communication with your child's teacher. We had a communications folder, and it traveled from home to school every day. And we recorded in a home communications folder every day. I would put in there, FYI, be on the lookout. He had a meltdown this morning, so she would know how to, expect his behavior. And she would write things back and forth. He had a great day, or this happened today. But you definitely want to stay in close communication with your child's teacher.
Right.
If not today, at least on a regular basis. You want to stay in close communication. You don't want to find something out 2 weeks down the line that you didn't know you should have known about.
Right.
So I would tell parents to please stay in close communication with your child's teacher. And also, we talked about this one, you want to network with other parents. I always say one log doesn't burn well by itself, right? And so you want to network with other parents and find out what is going on. It's so easy, Tammy, to just kind of seclude ourselves and be in our own little world and just kind of shut everything out. But I don't think it's healthy to do that.
Right.
So, when you're really supported by other parents and you hear what they're going through, finding out, oh, I'm not alone in this. I've experienced this too. I thought I was the only one thinking this. It really helps with your mental health.
Yeah.
It does. So I would tell parents too, if you don't even get a support group, find some parent or someone you can connect with.
Mm-hmm. That you
Okay.
can with.
Yes. And also you want to utilize both school and community resources. You just don't want to, everything with the school. You want to tap into your community and find out what types of resources will my child need, what's available, what's not available, and what I need to advocate for. So you want to make sure you are plugged in and you are connected within your own community. And also, I want to tell parents too, I guess the final one is, of course, self-care. But I also want to add that your child is more than autistic, being autism. Autism should not just define your child. There is so much more to your child than being autistic. So get to know the full aspect, everything about your kid, enjoy your child as a whole person, and don't just focus so much on him or her being autistic. So relax, enjoy the journey, do some self-care. I did my self-care, a couple of weeks ago now, I guess, in New Orleans. We had a great time at the Autism Moms Getaway. Oh my gosh, we had a wonderful time.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to next year in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. And the other thing is that we talked about on our trip is that there doesn't have to be this space that, oh, you have to go away to ever practice self-care, because self-care we want to remember to do on a regular basis, right?
Okay. Right. Like I told y'all, my self-care may be sitting at home watching a whole marathon of Law and Order.
Yes.
That may be my self-care. Whatever your happy place is, but you have to take care of yourself, because you have to keep giving and giving and giving.
Right.
But if you don't have, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to be running on fumes pretty,
Yeah.
pretty
You can't
quickly.
pour from an empty cup.
Exactly right.
So for everybody, I know some people, it's like sitting in their car.
Exactly. Yeah. Just having a
People
moment.
said they took their car.
Just having a mommy moment, you know, just having that moment. But yeah, you have to do it without feeling guilty about it. So
Right.
it's a journey. The journey continues, and I'm all in, and I'm just so excited about everything that's happening. We met some wonderful autism moms who are doing great things, you know, in the autism community. So yay, moms and dads. You know,
Yes.
dads, but yay, moms and dads. So
And I think that what you're doing with your group Connected and, you know, getting that information out there, don't feel like if you're watching this and you're watching it from somewhere else than in Dallas, Texas, that you can't join on to Beverly's group.
please join.
That
Yes.
is,
We're on Facebook. Just go to Facebook, type in Connected. You're at it. I will add you on.
and
Yes.
we're going to drop that link and everything below. We'll drop that link in the comments. So that people can join on. I mean, and that is truly the whole platform here of the On Air Advocate, is that I'm here in Wisconsin, where if anyone heard, we might get snow tomorrow.
What?
It's a record since 1916.
What?
Tomorrow, but you know, but I'm here.
No.
I know. Again, remember when I flew home, I had snow too a few weeks ago.
Those pictures, yeah.
But, you know, me being in Wisconsin, what I've learned is that, you know, we have resources here and we have parents here, but we really are all traveling this journey in and outside of the United States. So, you know, hop on to Beverly's group.
Please,
No,
we're all together. We
right.
need you. We all need each other. So please.
Right. So it doesn't matter.
You know, Connected. I want it to be worldwide. So please hop on and let's stick together. Exactly.
And that is how we all grow from, you know, our journeys and our experiences is from all over, not from just staying within our little bubble of our safe state or space.
I like to say we are so much better together.
That is right. We are so much better together. That needs to be our saying for this Friday. I love it.
We are so much better together. Yes, that's my phrase.
I love it. I love it, Beverly. And I love your spirit. I love what you are doing. I thank you so much, you know, for spending this time with us this morning over here at the On Air Advocate. I would love if you can drop all of your information, your resources below in this live, so it's easy for families as they hop on to get connected with you.
Yes, be glad to.
Thank
you so much for having me on, Tammy. Have a great day, everyone.
You guys too. And if you guys want any more information about the other services the On Air Advocate has to offer, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com. And they're all there. Also, our new newsletter to sign up for monthly is right there as well. So make sure that you click and you fill that in so that you're updated every month. And then at the top of this Facebook page, you can hit the blue button and that will let you into our private group, which Beverly is there too. So if you're connected in our private group right now and you just want to send Beverly a message, you're actually already connected to her. Send her a message. She'll help you get over to their autism, you know, group and their Connected group, so that we all can stay together. All right. Well, happy Friday, Beverly. Enjoy your warm weather in Texas.
I will. Thanks, Tammy. Have a good day.
All right. You too. Goodbye, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you.